It's time for another Dice Tower review with Zee Garcia.
Hey everybody, today we are taking a look at a trick-taking game that's called My Favorite Carrera RS. This is obviously a Japanese game and based on a manga from Japan. And in it, you are racing cars and using up your throttle chips, using up your momentum to get ahead of the other players and score and come away the victor. Game's got some interesting twists to the usual trick-taking fare that's out there. So let me show you how it works and then I'll tell you what I think of it. So here's what the game looks like set up for 4 players. Each player is going to be given 5 of these throttle chips, which are going to allow them to speed up throughout the game. We put out 5 of these momentum chips and 5 of these victory point chips for a 4-player game. One more than the number of players. The first player to get 2 of these is the winner of the entire game. The game, as I said before, is a trick-taking game, but one with a couple of twists. The cards in the game go from 1 to 5, and there are 1s, 2s, 3s, 2 different kinds of 4s with different colors, and then the 5s. And so let's say I am the start player here. I am going to play this card, for example, in front of me. And I could, now that I've played, add these tokens to my card to increase my speed. My speed is 3, but if I did this, then my speed would be 5. So I'm going to do just the 3. Okay? Then this player will go. And one of the tricks is that you can never play a card that has already been played. So they cannot play this card. So this player is going to play this 4, and they'll add 2 tokens to it to make it a 6. That's their speed. Speed 6. Then this player will go. They are going to throw away this card. And then this player will go. And they are going to play 5, 6, 7, which wins it. If there is ever a tie, so if that player had also played 6, then the first player who actually hit that speed is the winner. But that player wins outright, and what they win is one of these momentum chips. Every one of these throttle chips that was spent is put in the middle of the table. The player gets that, and we clear out these cards, set them aside, and we go on to the next hand. The player who won this one is the one who leads the next trick. And so they'll take a look at their hand here and they're going to play this. And the deal with these momentum chips is that they're always added to your speed. So that player's going 5 and they'll throw another one of these in there to be going 6. Now it is this player's go. They could not play this card because it's the same kind of card. But on your turn, there is another option, which I'll actually represent with this player. So this guy's going to do that. He's going 7. But this player is going to play face down. And what that means is that I'm sort of taking a pit stop to gather up some fuel for these. And I'll show you how that goes in a second. This player is also going to do that and play face down this card. Alright? Now that that's done, the first thing that happens is if anybody stopped and made a pit stop, then they gather up here the fuel tokens, okay? And you split them evenly among all the players who played face down. So this player gets 2, this player gets 2. If there was an uneven number, so let's say if there were only 3 there, then this player gets 1, this player gets 1, and this is removed from the game for the rest of the game. But for right now, each one gets 2, and then you check if you have more than 5, then the excess is also removed from the game. Alright? And now we check who actually wins the trick. This player wins this trick with 7 to that player's 6. They get one of these tokens. These are put in the middle as always. And this player keeps their momentum. Those remain throughout the entire hand, okay? And again, we clean these up. If the cards were played face down, they remain face down, but we discard all of them. And the player who won leads the next trick. You continue doing this until the very last hand Whoever wins that one gets one of these. That's a victory point. And whoever's the first, then you shuffle up, you deal again. The first player to get 2 of these wins the entire game. There are a couple of special circumstances with some of the cards, and that is that the 1s and the 2s have some special effects. If you ever play a 2 face up, you immediately, if there are any, get one of these throttle chips and add it to your pool, and then you could even use it right away and throw it on your card. Okay? So that's what the 2s do. They have a special power if you play them face up, and the 1s have an even bigger special power, and that is if you ever play a 1 face up, it makes all the 4s and all the 5s that have been played in this hand a 0. And so if this is the case, and let's say this is all I have here, this player played first, they just played a 4, that player played second, they played a 5, this person played a 6 by doing that, the 5 and the 1 momentum. If I'm last, I can play this card. The 1 makes every card a 0, so the values right now are 0, 1, 1, and I can win by just doing that. 1 and 1 is 2, 1, 1, nothing. And so the 1s, being the weakest card in the deck, cancel out the 4s and the 5s and turn them into 0s. And that's pretty much the game. You continue playing till you're out of cards, 6 tricks. The last trick takes the victory points. Once you have 2 of them, you win the entire game. One of my favorite things about the game is that it's a really clean design. The game has small deck of cards, 3 colors of chips, and that's it. And it does a nice amount with those components. I like the idea that when someone plays a card, you can no longer play that type of card, that color, which is not in a lot of trick-taking games. I know Potato Man, which is another trick-taking game, uses a similar idea where if someone plays a color, it's the opposite, basically, of following suit. You cannot play something that's been played. I like that. I like the idea of the 1s and the 2s being the 2 worst cards, giving you a little something else for when you play those. I like that the 1 has the power to knock out the 4s and the 5s, the hold them back, those throttle chips for the end of the round could be a good idea, but if you go late in that last hand, it's quite possible the last card you're holding has been played, which means you can't play it face up. So what do you keep for the end of the round? A 5? What if someone before you plays a 5? You're done. You keep something in the middle that people aren't likely to keep. You keep a 1 and counter those people that are going to play the 4s and the 5s. So there are considerations here. I like the fact that throughout each hand, that speed ramps up, and those blue chips stick around, And so that momentum idea is really interesting. I like the way that momentum versus throttle works in the game. And then getting to 2 victory points is a nice end game trigger. There's no scoring at the end. You just, boom, I got my second chip, I win. Nice and clean. So I really like this game. I think it's a solid trick-taking game. It might not be the most revolutionary trick-taking game that I've ever played, but it's a really neat one, and I am happy to bring this one out because I can explain it quickly, but it's got a couple of tricks for people that are used to this kind of game. I can show them this, and they'll find things to like in it that they don't typically see in other trick-taking games, of which there are a lot. So, I recommend it. I like it a lot. I'm very happy to have it. My Favorite Carrera RS. Really cool, twisty, but really interesting trick-taking game.
Thanks so much for watching the Dice Tower videos. Find more great videos and reviews, as well as our top-rated audio podcast at Dicetower.com. You can also find other great shows at Dicetowernetwork.com. I'm Eric Summerer, and you've been watching The Dice Tower. The Dice Tower is sponsored by Cool Stuff Inc., where you can find great games for great prices. Cool stuff in stock. Check them out at CoolStuffInc.com.